Hi, it's Helen Tarrant. Welcome to another episode of Commercial Property Roadshow. You're here with Helen Tarrant. And today I'm actually going to cover how to rescue a bad commercial property deal, because this is something that we do often for our clients or with our clients, or believe it or not, a lot of people do come to us to help them fix their commercial property deal. So how do you convert a bad commercial property deal to a good commercial property deal? Now, this is really key, because when you're looking at a bad commercial property deal, and there's no such thing as a real bad commercial property deal, it's just that the structure of the deal, the pieces of the deal is not done correctly, and you need to move the pieces around. That may be the incorrect tenant in there, maybe the incorrect rent, maybe the wrong property manager, maybe the wrong leasing agent, maybe the property is wrong for the tenant, maybe we're marketing to the wrong people, maybe the property needs to be refurbed, maybe the property needs an extension, maybe the property needs maybe new signage, new lighting, bathroom, lots and lots of moving pieces. But one of the ways you can rescue a bad commercial property deal or a commercial property deal that's sort of gone south is to actually look at the deal from fresh eyes, so that you are not looking at it going, well, it was this when I bought it, now is this, or that I thought it was going to be this and now it's totally different. It's to look at what is the full potential of the property, not what you bought it for, not what it is you're thinking in your head. It is about, in this current market, what exactly is the full potential for that property in this current market. So if you were getting $20,000 in rent in the past and your tenant has left, and now the realisticness of the market is that it's $12,000 or $14,000, whatever it may be, then you need to know that that is the maximum you're going to be able to get in rent for that property today, rather than saying, I just want $20,000, because that means the property could be vacant for 2 years. So you don't want to have an unrealistic view. So one of the ways to tidy up a bad commercial property deal to a good commercial property deal is to be realistic, and to look at it and go, what can the full potential of this property be? And then you take that and you're engineering it backwards. So let's say the full potential, let's say, for example, you have a property and it's divided up in four different tenants. And the property having 4 different tenants have a, let's say they have something in the back, they've got a shed or something in the back end. Let's say they've got a tenant at the front on a month to month. Let's say they've got a vacant property, and then let's say that the 4th property, it's on a tenant that's a long-term tenant. So it's got some good and some bad. How would you tidy up that property? Well, you look at the current market. If I was to get this property totally refurbished out and we had tenants all on 3-by-3 year leases, what is my expected return in that market based on yield? And that may be 6%, it may be 7%, it may be 8%, depending on where you're buying that property for. It might even be 5%. So whatever it is, we take that realistic yield and say, okay, so that property, because of that 6% yield, it's going to be worth X amount of dollars. But let's for example say that it's going to be worth then $1 million. All right, well, how do I get to that? What do I need to work the pathway to get there? And it's about clearing, defining that path. And that's what we do in our mentoring, and that's what we do with our specialist construction team, is to go in there, and also management team, to go in there, help and project manage these things. It's like, what is the pathway? So upstairs, if the tenant is reliable and all good, we leave them there. Downstairs, the shed, let's say it's under rented. Well, what can we do to increase the rent? Is it just being used for storage? Can it be used for something else? Can we kick out that tenant, put some other tenant in? Remember, in order to bring out the full potential of a property, you may also sustain going backwards or sustain a loss to move forward. Front tenant, they're doing well, but they don't want to be in a long-term lease. How do I get them on a long-term lease? How can I negotiate with them to get them on a long-term lease? And that may be simply, okay, well, they want an air conditioning unit, they want a new toilet to themselves, they want an alfresco dining area. All right, how much is that going to cost? And how much is it going to cost me to get them there? And if I get them there, do I add more value to the property in the back end? So it's constantly working back and forth. If that's the case, I'm going to spend the money, I'm going to negotiate the rent, put them in there. Refurbish the back. Now I've got a vacant one. What can I do with a vacant one? What's realistic rent today with a vacant one? How can I incentive the agents, the property manager? Who can I target who's an ideal tenant for there? What is my tenant mix around the area so that I can put the correct tenant in there? And what kind of incentives should I be offering? Now I should talk to 3 or 4 agents before I decide. And of course, I should be asking other people some opinions about the right kind of tenant to go in there and help me negotiate. So I go ahead and I do that. So each individually is broken into 4 different parts, and I treat them as 4 different projects, and I tackle one at a time, and then I put in a timeline. So that timeline might be 12 months, might be 18 months, might be 2 years, but it's ultimately something that I've got to be realistic about. And that's how you actually tackle a bad commercial property into a good commercial property. You take it in bite-sized chunks, you become realistic of what the market is, you look at your realistic returns and how much you can spend in terms of cash flow and what you have in terms of availability of money to spend on the capital works, and how you get to the potential. And then you work out your exit strategy. Do you sell? Do you keep? Do you refinance? What do you do with that property in the future? So it's about being strategic. It is about being non-emotional, but working out the right way to move forward. And it is about engaging the right professional to help you move forward and implementing a timeline. And you have to, even though there's other people project managing it, you have to make sure you're on top of it and spending time looking at it and making sure it really works in the long term as well. So that's just a simple way of taking a commercial property that has got multi-tenanted, that's a little bit run down and not so great, and turning into a great property. But if you have a commercial deal that was great and because of COVID became vacant, or because of all sorts of reasons it's not doing so well, then again, it's all about looking at the market realistically. But remember, that's a temporary period in time. So so in that case, what you're looking for is a solution that's going to help you in the next 1 to 2 years, rather than what's going to happen in the next 4 to 5. So you want to focus on what you can do. And if that's just to cover your costs because you're in an area that's badly hit by COVID, and if that's to cover your costs for the next 2 to 3 years, you just get a temporary tenant in at a really cheap rent, that may be what you need to do, is to get a temporary tenant in a cheap rent, cover your costs so you're not out of pocket, sit still, sit on the property until the market rebounds, the value rebounds, and the rent comes back up. Chuck that tenant out, or terminate the lease or the tenant, and put in a new tenant in there, and put in a new tenant and get that new tenant to start bringing up the rents, and then rebuild the value of your property. And now that's a much more long-term strategy, a much more long-term conversation, but ultimately that may be the temporary solution to changing a good deal that's gone wrong, not because of your issues or your buyer's agent's issues or any of your solicitor's issue, but just purely because of the market. Then you may need a temporary fix and then implement a long-term fix in a couple of years' time when the market has rebounded. But again, all of these things require strategy, require mentoring, require education, and really a helping, guiding hand. So if you're really looking to someone to help you with that, you want a team to surround you, you want to know someone's your safety net, reach out to me at helentarrant.com, or email me at helen@commercialpropertycashflow.com.au, and we can jump on a strategy call. You can also join me at my Facebook group, Successful Commercial Property Investors. I've got a link below. And you'll be invited to some of our free webinars so you can learn more about commercial property. So I look forward to helping you in your commercial property journey. Reach out to me and we'll chat very soon on my next YouTube video. Bye for now.